So far, Marvel has released 23 films as part of its Infinity Saga, and while you could certainly watch them in order due to the interconnected universe of these films, it might be better to watch them outside of the order that they were released in, find a different order that makes everything flow super well. So that's what I did here, found a watch order for the MCU. So starting it all with the film that started it all, Iron Man 1. This is a great setup to go into and is one of the strongest films of the MCU's first phase. It really sets up everything you need to know, including Iron Man and S.H.I.E.L.D. After that, to make things go nicely, I put Iron Man 2, since it's basically a direct sequel to the first one, and also gives little teasers for what's going to come next, like Mjolnir and Captain America's shield. After that, I have Captain America the First Avenger. This is a prequel story set in the 40s, and while you could watch it first, it features Howard Stark quite a bit, and I think it's better going over the first Iron Man without knowing anything about Tony's dad, leaving Tony to be a blank slate. It also is a great setup for the next movie, The Incredible Hulk, which features a replication of the super soldier serum. That goes wrong, obviously, it creates the Hulk. This also features Tony Stark's Iron Man, so it needs to come after those movies. And after Hulk is Thor, which features the most shield out of any of the films, and as well as a reference to the Hulk, meaning that Hulk has to come first. And if we watch Thor right here, it's post-credit scene featuring Loki mind-controlling Selvig to work on the Space Stone leads directly into the plot of the Avengers, the culmination of Phase 1, which means it has to be watched after all the other ones that came before it. It's also just a good ending to this saga, to this part of the MCU. After watching Avengers, you can pretty much watch Iron Man 3, Captain America the Winter Soldier, and Thor the Dark World, which all come right after it. But I chose to watch Dark World first, as it picks up right after Avengers ending with Loki getting put in prison. Along with Thor and Avengers, this also makes a nice loose Loki trilogy. After that, I decided to put Iron Man 3, since it just fits here the best. Most importantly, Captain America the Winter Soldier, with the destruction of Hydra, and S.H.I.E.L.D., goes right into the plot of Age of Ultron, which opens with the Avengers fighting Hydra. Um, Even though it doesn't make as good of a reveal for Fury being alive and the helicarrier coming back at the end, it also provides a good excuse for the Avengers to get back together since S.H.I.E.L.D. has fallen. Unfortunately, after that, this is pretty much the only spot to put Ant-Man, which takes place after Falcon joins the Avengers at the end of Age of Ultron, and before his appearance in Civil War. It's kind of a little break, but I guess it's also good to have a nice drop from all of the big Avengers action. Following Ant-Man is, of course, Captain America Civil War, which features a breakup between all of the Avengers. This basically leads into the next phase of the MCU, Phase 3, which you can watch most of the movies in whatever order, but I picked the order that I think works the best. I put Black Panther first, even though it came out the latest out of all of these films. It picks up directly after Civil War with the death of T'Challa and T'Challa's ascension to the throne. It also provides a resolution for what finally happened to Bucky. After that, I put Spider-Man Homecoming, which similarly picks up with Spider-Man after the events of Civil War and his partnership with Iron Man. But it doesn't really need to go anywhere else. Since he's also introduced in Civil War, it makes for a nice follow-up. Doctor Strange I put next, as it talks is the lead into the Infinity Stones, and Doctor Strange will appear later down the road in Thor Ragnarok. It's also pretty much the last film set on Earth until Infinity War. After Doctor Strange, you can watch Guardians 1 and Guardians 2, which have pretty much nothing to do with the rest of the MCU, except for featuring Thanos finally doing something after the end of Age of Ultron, even though that's mostly just him sitting there. These fit the best as they talk about the Infinity Stones, and even though they both take place in 2014, they work here as a lead into what's going to come next. After them is Thor Ragnarok, which ends, right before Infinity War. There's probably 20 minutes between the end of Ragnarok and Infinity War, so it makes sense to go here. That's the last film before that. Of course, Infinity War is next, which ends with Thanos winning. So obviously the next two films will both take place before this happens, starting with the 90s prequel Captain Marvel. This shows who Fury called at the end of Infinity War, and will lead into her eventual appearance in Avengers Endgame. Ant-Man and the Wasp goes next, as showing what Ant-Man was doing during the events of Infinity War, and of course it ends with them all getting snapped, making it the best lead-in to Avengers Endgame, which opens with Scott still trapped in the Quantum Zone. Avengers Endgame is obviously super big, and the only film after this is Spider-Man Far From Home, which serves as an epilogue to the Infinity Saga of the MCU, with Spider-Man and the viewers reconciling Iron Man's death and how the world is going to have to move on. So that is my watch order for these films of the MCU. I hope this is useful, and try watching it this way. It might turn out better than watching it chronologically.